Hey guys, Yoshi from Triple J Armory, and today we're going to be talking about night vision, nods, NVGs, superpowers. So, what is night vision? Well, it's a tool that we can use. It's commonly referred to as nods, which is night observation or optical device. And it's an optical device that we can use to give us the ability to see better in the dark. So how does night vision work? Well, there's a lot of different night vision devices out there, but we're going to talk about a PVS-14, which is more of a traditional style that you'll see more commonly. The way that this thing works is there is an image intensifier tube inside this housing. And what it does is it takes ambient light on this side. That light enters this front lens, goes through to the intensifier tube. That intensifier tube amplifies the light and then sends it out the back lens for our eye to see. Now, it's important to note that this does work in dark circumstances, but it will not work with absolutely no light. All right, so now that we understand what night vision is and how it works, why would we even want it? It's a really hot topic right now. Night vision is becoming really popular, but it has a very specific use and it's a very specific tool. So let's talk about the pros and cons. Now, some of the pros being out there, there's a lot of them. However, I'm only gonna talk about a couple. One thing is that you have a very, very low visible signature. What that means is to the naked eye, when you're using night vision and it's dark out, you can't really see whoever's using it. What that means is I don't have to use a white light, which is the alternative to night vision, to gather information, but consequently be seen as well. I can just put my night vision down, gather information that's in front of me, and move on from there. Now, some of the cons that may be out there. One of the big things that we deal with night vision is a limited field of view. Now, the human eye can take in anywhere from about 110 to 170 degrees of information with both eyes. When we're only using one with a night vision monocular, we get about 40 degrees of information to 50. That's not a lot to deal with, so that can be a problem, which leads me into my next point, which is the learning curve. Night vision does take a lot of time to get used to. Becoming proficient under night vision is inherently a little bit difficult. It's a whole new world and being able to see under dark conditions, and that can take some time to get used to. Another con that we'll talk about is the cost of night vision. Your entry-level unit can cost you anywhere from $2,000 and up. Understanding that it's a very specific tool, that may not be worth it to you, so use your own discretion on that one. The last con that we'll talk about is auxiliary equipment. There are a lot of things out there that can aid you when shooting under night vision. Can you do it with just a traditional setup? Absolutely. However, there are things out there like IR devices, IR illuminators, optic risers, and specific optics that get into the IR spectrum. When we talk about the IR spectrum, that is light that is not visible to the naked eye. But with night vision, that gives us the ability to see into that spectrum. That being said, these lasers, these optics, these risers can be a little bit hard to find and be a little more costly on the wallet as well. So now that we understand the pros and cons of night vision, let's talk about my setup and what I'm running. All right, so I'm gonna take you guys through my helmet setup and kind of show you what I'm running and why I'm running it. So in front, obviously the kind of main attraction here is we have the night vision device itself. Now, I am personally running two PVS-14s that are bridge mounted. And what that means is that I'm running two individual monoculars. They have their own battery sources, their own power, their own whole operating system, and they work independently of each other. Now, the reason I run it this way is because it's very easy for me to detach one and then get a rhino mount and a JR and pass it off to a buddy, which means I can now make two people that can see at night instead of just one. So I have the ability to run dual tubes as well as single tube and have another friend running that as well. So that's why I run this particular setup. That, not to mention that, again, I'm kind of, the night vision thing is very expensive. So trying to get into dual tubes right off the rip can be a little bit daunting to some. That's why I opted to go with the single PVS-14 first and then get another one and bridge mount them together. Now, the con to this setup is inherently it's very heavy. That brings me to my next point of counterweight. Now, the thing with counterweight is when you have night vision down like this in front of your face, that's a lot of weight up here, and that can drag your neck down and cause a lot of neck pain. So inherently what we want to do is get some weight in the back to counteract that and be able to get even balance on the head where you're not having to do this with the night vision on your head. So if you don't run counterweight and you're running a very heavy setup like this, you're asking for some neck pains. On top of that, I have an IR strobe in the back. I don't use this very frequently. It was given to me by a buddy, but it is for indication of friend or foe, or IFF if you want to call it that. It's basically letting other people know with night vision that I am a friendly or I am here. So that is pretty much my setup. I'm running a Wilcox G24. You can run an Arotos Rhino mount or whatever, but this is what I opted to go with. It has a lot of functionality. I can adjust the angle, I can adjust the height, I can adjust the distance to my eyes. Another thing that I'll talk about is the retention system. So it's very important to have some sort of retention system on your night vision device. Now I have 2 bungees running from each side. And the reason why I run this is because if I were to bump into a tree or run into somebody or something like that, I don't want my night vision device to break off and then just fall on the ground. Be a very, very expensive repair or replacement. So having these bungees actually allows it to, if this breaks, it'll still stay stuck to the helmet. It may hit me in the face, but that's better. I'd rather have a black eye than be out a couple $1,000s. So that's pretty much my setup. All the other stuff on here is just traditional, helmet stuff. So ears, flashlight for seeing at night, so on and so forth. But that is my helmet setup. Another thing that we'll talk about is the auxiliary equipment. This is my personal rifle. If you want to know more about it, we have a video for that. Just jump back a couple videos, but I'm going to talk about the specific things on this gun for night vision. I have on this gun a IR device. What this means is that this particular tool right here, this flashlight looking thing, what it is an infrared illuminator and an infrared laser, which when I use this under night vision, there's a laser emitted, there's a flashlight sort of thing emitted that I can only see under night vision. It's not visible to the naked eye, and that assists me with aiming under night vision. I also have a Scalarworks 193 mount on a Trijicon MRO. This optic can go into the night vision spectrum or the IR spectrum. It gets dim enough to where I cannot see it with the naked eye, but it is still on, and with night vision, when I look through it, there's still a dot in there. The thing with the raised mount, trying to look through an optic with night vision is inherently extremely hard. It's called passive aiming. The problem with that is that essentially when you're using night vision and trying to aim passively, you're looking through a tube, through another tube, and trying to see your target. And that can be inherently hard when you have one tube that's moving and then a gun that's moving as well. So trying to line those up can be difficult, but having a higher riser helps quite a bit. That's pretty much my setup in terms of all the night vision related equipment. It may not work for everyone, but it works for me. Hopefully we've given you guys some information to be able to go ahead and make that decision on what you do and don't want to do. If you guys like this video, go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe. Ring the bell for notifications, and we'll see you guys next time. Bye.